Good evening. Oops. Good evening. I now call the January 20th, 2026 meeting of the West Richland City Council to order at 6:00. Before we get started out, I will ask the city clerk, Stephanie, to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call the roll for the city council.
Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the Mayor Pro Tem to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise their hand if they wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Roll call. Richard Bloom,
Here.
David Cole,
Here.
Kate Moran, present. John Smart,
Here.
Ken Stoker.
Here.
Mayor Brink is in Olympia with AWC Action Days, and Councilmember Fetto is also in Olympia for legislative activities.
Can I have a motion to excuse the mayor and the council member, Fetto?
I move to excuse Councilmember Fetto and Mayor Brink.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now moving on with our agenda, Councilmember Moran, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, the agenda is before you. I requested to move item 6C, ordinance 126, to the regular agenda. We will make that item 8A. Are there any other changes? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All in favor?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We do not have any presentations this evening, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes payment of bills, approval of minutes, regular meeting January 6th, motion to authorize the agreement of the city of with the city of Richland use of the firing range, motion to authorize Burke contract amendment number 6, and resolution 0226 surplus property, the sewer incubator. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to comment on the consent agenda? Please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Nope. I see anyone online? I see no one. Oh, Brad Ross is online. All right.
Or hand up.
No hands up. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Now we come to the first opportunity for citizen public comment. On the agenda, if you wish to provide comment, come to the podium, state your name and city of residence. You'll have 3 minutes to provide your comment. No takers? Anyone online wishes to make a public comment? I see no hands. Stephanie?
I also do not see any hands.
All right, we'll move on. Ordinance, resolutions, motions. Ordinance 126, modifying allowed building materials for multifamily in the development and design guidelines. Item 1A was removed from the consent agenda per my request. Since I asked to have the item pulled the consent agenda, I'll start the discussion and we'll ask Eric if there's anything else he would like to add. The reason I requested it being pulled, if you notice, we don't use vinyl siding very often in the Tri-Cities, if at all. And so I looked at the ordinance as we have proposed, and it calls out the ASTM standard D3679. And that standard calls for it not to warp at 120 degrees. If you know, during our summers, the cement and the sidings tends to be a little bit hotter than 120 degrees. So I raised that question, thought we would discuss it. So I'll turn it over to Eric. He has a response.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom and Council. Yes, so I did receive the request from Councilmember Bloom. I did send out to all of you an email today with regards to the applicant who submitted this text request, had some comments and some responses to it, as well as some bulleted items that you see there from our building official, fire marshal, that address some of those concerns. And so I just want to make sure that you all had an opportunity to see those and read those responses. A lot of this is codified as far as what is required for vinyl siding in the building code, and then also addressed through the UL listing for different materials and the NFPA, making sure that those items are fairly fire resistant. And all of that information was provided to you in that email. And if anyone would like a copy of this email, I'd be happy to share it with you. Just come see me after the meeting that has all of that information. But happy to answer any questions outside of that with you. I know the applicant is here, and I'm sure during public comment for this, he'll be able to have an opportunity to speak.
Well, I guess my primary concern was the only specification we called out with the ASTM spec, and I will assume not all vinyl siding is created equal. But since we're putting it on multifamily development, which would include this wouldn't be single, this would be rental only, is that correct?
This would be for anything that is 3 units or more attached. So if it's a no, actually applies to the duplex as well. So townhomes, duplexes, 3plexes, 4plexes, and greater. These design standards apply to each of those. And currently the standard is we prohibit vinyl siding outright. We do have a firm here that is developing in the city of West Richland wanting to use vinyl siding on their product. They have it. In Badger Mountain South, they have product out there where they've applied the vinyl siding, as well as in Pasco. The buildings that they have in Badger Mountain South were constructed in 2019. I visit there frequently, visiting some members from my church congregation, and the vinyl siding seems to be performing well. I didn't even know it was vinyl siding, to be honest. I thought it was hardy plank, but it seems to be performing well. And the temperatures in 2019, we've had several summers that had at least a week long of plus 100 degrees, and there's no warping or sagging of the material. As I mentioned to you, Mr. Bloom, before the meeting, is that vinyl siding that we have being manufactured today is not the same type of vinyl siding that my father used when he built homes back in the 70s and early 80s. It's very much more robust, very much addressed a lot of the concerns. I mean, there's a lot of vinyl siding that I saw in my life that did sag and drag because of the heat. And I think that the manufacturers have done a good job of addressing that. The applicant did do some research on this and making sure that the specifications that are proposed in the code would be the higher quality vinyl siding and not the lesser quality vinyl siding. The Planning Commission, when they looked at this during their public hearing, they actually requested them to bring samples. And so they touched and felt that siding material. They did a pretty good job of doing their due diligence before it came to you. They went through a couple renditions with the Planning Commission before it came to council. So they had the same concerns of the material melting on the side of the buildings, if you will. And it's been pretty well assured that these specifications would not allow for that.
But the only specification I see is the ASTM standard. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Silence. Okay, Ms. Moran.
Oh, we can,
Oh, okay. Well, let's start with public comment. Any public comment?
We need to have a motion to continue discussion.
No, but we can take public comment, correct? Or can I take a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 01-26, amending the West Richland Development and Design Guidelines to modify the allowed building materials as proposed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Does council have any questions that were not previously addressed in the staff report provided? Councilman Moran.
Thank you. With the understanding that the only specification we have is for the ASTM requirement, is there any reason not to just say that rather than just meeting the minimum, that we're meeting what we actually want it to be as a minimum?
I spoke with the applicant before the meeting about raising it from 120 degrees, for instance, to 160, 165. And he says that the manufacturers don't have that set as their standard. So if we were to do that, we'd be setting the impossible. I'm sure he can clarify that during public comment when he gets a chance to speak.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And just
Councilman Smart.
Thank you. Just to add to that, I mean, we're making an ordinance that won't apply to just the current applicant. And so all future folks that come along and want to put vinyl siding on, I mean, we have those concerns, like how do we mean what we say and say what we mean? That's all we're looking for in an ordinance. And otherwise, I generally support the concept. I just don't want somebody to come along and find some 1970s vinyl siding in a storage surplus area somewhere and put them on their house or their townhouse. If there's a way to solve that, I don't want to hold things up, but I would like it to be as right as it can be.
I believe that's what we've done with the text. I mean, it's very specific in there as far as what can be done. It just doesn't allow outright vinyl siding, right? It doesn't say that you can just do vinyl siding as a permitted material. So there are some specifications. Again, they did bring in some sampling as far as what that minimum, the thickness of the material and everything else. They did bring in some samples. And again, the Planning Commission did take a good look at that, making sure that they were comfortable with that material before they brought it forward.
But that's for this instance. And I want to make sure that we have a code that codifies that specification or that approval, if possible.
Again, that's what's in here. I mean, it has a minimum thickness and it has all of that information, provided there. So when someone comes in and wants to provide vinyl siding, they have to provide the manufacturer's specifications for the siding that they are putting on the building. And then that can be inspected to make sure that they install the correct material.
So that is a part of the process of getting their construction project approved.
Correct.
The question comes down to is the Class B or Class C rating that was brought up by the building inspector, would that sort of go hand in glove? Could that be a specification we put on there? At minimum, Class C, Class B rated?
You know, I haven't checked that compared to some of these specifications to see if what we're asking for might be more. I would just, you know, I'm not sure if we're getting too far into the weeds with this, I guess is what I'm saying is that yes, the information I provided with you today talks about just your typical vinyl siding. It doesn't go into the minimum, you know, thickness and everything else. This is just vinyl siding across the board. This is what I found, what the building official found, and what exists out there on the internet is what you can go and study and look up, right? And so, again, I'm not sure if we'd be diminishing the code requirement by saying that without doing further research and study on this. Those questions weren't provided prior to the meeting.
I guess the only thing we can hang our hat on is a specification for the 50-year warranty. Because I can tell you the lighter weight ones wouldn't carry a 50-year warranty. And so that might be adequate. I'm not quite sure minimum thickness would get us there, but it probably will. So I'll go with the 50-year warranty as being adequate to address the issue. If so, would you like to come up and make a comment? State your name and city of residence.
Bobby Everson, Spokane, Washington. Originally from the Tri-Cities though, so I hear it all. You did a great job, Eric. That's all I mean, I won't take too much of your time. I think to highlight the couple things that have been talked about tonight, the ASTM standard is the international standard. So that's IBC, IRC. You got to go meet those standards. It's a codified standard. So I thought it important to put that in here as the baseline. And then we also elevated it, as Eric alluded to, the thickness, the wind speed, which is also a concern down here. And the warranty, and then also just incorporating, I know the multifamily guidelines are very specific about how buildings look. And we as developers also we're not going to take and put vinyl siding over the whole thing. So we thought it was important there to make sure that you're incorporating other materials. The only other thing I think we have the same goals. We've developed a lot of properties, and as you alluded to, we have some in Badger Mountain South. We just built another one in Badger Mountain South in Affinity, some in Broadmoor over there. And we're a developer, we're a contractor, and we also own and operate the buildings. So for the longevity of the building. So we want it to look good. We want it to last. We don't want it to have defects. We've held the manufacturer's feet to the fire on that when it does happen, or when the installations are improper or whatnot like that. So I think we're not just putting this forward as a economical thing to be able to get it built and move on. We're putting it on. It's important to us. It's important that it looks good. It's important to you guys too. So I will answer any questions if there are any further ones.
Thank you. Is anyone online wishing to make public comment? Okay.
Jeff Herring, West Richland. in this vein of everything, besides just the heat, I would also ask you to consider not just wind speed, but impact damage. I don't know the first thing about vinyl siding, but I know in my neighborhood, it's against the regulations for our CCRs and our HOA. But just thinking of what I've seen with, other vinyl products in the city and around, when the wind gets blowing and something hits, they snap. So that might not be the case with newer vinyl, but it's just another thing that I'd ask you to consider before adopting, some kind of resolution for the entire city.
Thank you. I think I'll read the specification that is making me feel more comfortable. It's a minimum 50-year warranty covering manufacturing defects, fading, and damage related to hail. Personally, my personal experience is I've replaced siding because of hail. And it wasn't that old of a siding, but I don't think it was warranted. Or had a warranty. That's what I meant. So I think if the material carries 50-year warranty, it probably won't warp, which would be considered a manufacturing defect. So I personally will vote for this. So I will call all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ordinance passes. We don't have any finished. Oops, I'll push my button better. We don't have any unfinished business, nor do we have any new business. We come up to the second public comment opportunity for comments. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and city of residence. You will have 3 minutes to provide your comment.
Hello, City Council members. My name's Deborah Humphreys. I live at 4705 Collins Road. I'm here tonight wanting support on achieving a tighter restrictions on fireworks. I know it's a little early, but it'll be here before you know it. Also, I'm wanting to develop a committee soon so that we can address our concerns. I'm asking you please to consider limiting fireworks to 1 day during the 4th of July and 1 day on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. No aerials, no mortars. What we have happening now is a total unmanageable for our fire district. And many of us are terrified that full week of the 4th of July, due to our environment, we need protection for our properties, our families, and our animals. New Year's Eve weather is far less concerning, and it's really not an issue. But summer, in our summers, it is a real issue. And I'm asking please for your help. And thank you. And I just got a little tidbit here. Palisades fire happened a year ago. It was January 7th of 25. 7,000 homes burned down. 23,000 acres burned. They get 14 inches of annual rainfall a year, and we get 7 to 9 inches of rainfall a year. So it could happen here. And I live surrounded by BLM land, and it's just a matter of time. And I don't want to be the one. I don't want to see anybody lose their house and everything they've ever worked for. So I hate getting up here and talking, but I did it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online wishing to make public comment? Please raise your virtual hand or *9. I see no one, Stephanie.
I also do not see anyone.
Okay, and so we'll move on to staff members for comment. Please put your card up. Thank you. Mr. Mendenhall.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. Just wanted to highlight our last week for our permits that we issued. So last week we issued 4 new single-family homes, which I'm sharing this because we typically issue 1 or 2. And so we're seeing already with rumors and stuff going out as far as interest rates and whatnot that the builders are catching on, trying to get ahead of the curve. So we've got 4 new single-family homes that we've issued. We also had one new multifamily development issued in Building K for the Copperview Apartments, as well as a new commercial building for them for their clubhouse. That added $6,724,830 to property valuation. So that will be great. Aaron's excited for that. There's also those 2 projects, the multifamily and the clubhouse. Of that 6.7 million represents $4,973,269 worth of new valuation coming on the books. So I just wanted to highlight that. We're excited for the development and growth that we're starting to see booming with the new year. So hopefully I'll have more fun reports like this in the days to come.
Thank you, Eric. Council? I really can't see Stephanie, so I'll Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. So on last Friday, we had a Benton Franklin Council of Governments meeting, and we authorized a few things like the use of the PWEDA, the Public Works Economic, Roscoe, if you want to help me out with that one, PWEDA. It's a Public Works Fund. We are using that to cover up a 4-month gap from a partnership plan program through the Economic Development Administration, assuming that's what the A stands for. There's a lot of letters used in government. But they changed the period of time that the partnership plan program grant application covers. So we just had to use some extra funds, but overall, it's kind of half a dozen one, 6 of the other. It was just 25,000 in grant money. So let's see. Then good news is that for 2026, the estimated overall obligation authority target is 5.5 million. And so far, we have 13 projects that we're looking forward to in the fiscal year 2026 that are around 8.1 million total. So always good to obligate more than what we're supposed to. That way we don't lose any money. So that is a very good thing. Other than that, I don't know if anybody's keeping track, but the Mid-Columbia Building Appeals Commission was discussed, and there is further movement going on towards that being either completely closed out or started up again. So more news to follow on that. And other than that, I am not going to encourage anyone to vote or not vote per the Hatch Act. However, I will say that there are ballots out right now for a vote. Do as you choose, please.
Anyone else? Well, I just want to say that I won't be here next week. I'll be in Olympia for the Salmon's Day. It's where all the various fish and wildlife recovery, or actually salmon recovery groups get together and talk to legislators about the good things we do. So, but I believe Ben Franklin Trans will be down and give us a little presentation on what the sort of an annual update. We just got it last week at the board meetings, and I think it's a kind of nice presentation and give you a flavor for how transit is changing within the Tri-Cities. And it's a good story. We're getting more people on buses, so. With that, I guess, we have do we have an executive session tonight? It's on the agenda.
Not have an executive session, but we do have a closed session after the public meeting concludes.
Oh, okay. That's a difference. Okay. And the meeting is now concluded at 6:30.